So the way we're going to do the roundtable is we're going to start with the first speaker of the morning and ask 2 or 3 questions from the audience, if there are any, and then we'll pass on to the next and the next, and that way each speaker can get a chance to be questioned, grilled. That's what I said.
Hello.
Would you like to grill Erin Brown? Put your hand up. Okay.
No. I have some housekeeping to do if nobody has questions. A quick, yes.
For people staying here tonight, where should they go?
Oh yeah.
No, we'll get there. Yeah.
Okay.
No, well, that's going to be separate from Erin's talk. Are you thinking like Erin's like the coordinator of like all things party or what? Yeah.
Well, no, because I'm from here, and I every time people come and they say
She knows where the good barbecue is.
yeah, they go the wrong places, or you're not having Kansas City barbecue.
We got a list.
And if someone has a car, I'd like to go with them.
I have a card. Go eat.
So a couple of things. I'm terrible about promoting my own stuff, which is it good enough? This is the stuff we do. But I have a book, so I'm having people come up to me and saying, I have a client, I have a friend, I have a book that's available on my website. That's a 21-day program, which is really 21 activities that you should do for the rest of your life. It's not really 21 days that you can turn people to. And I was really mindful when I was creating it that this could be a gift and would likely be a gift. And so there is like a letter at the front of it that's like, if you're receiving this, it's because someone really loves you and doesn't think that you see yourself the way they see you. So it's set up so that you're not being handed a self-help book, because nobody really wants that gift. And I also have jewelry, which the whole point of that to begin with was so that you could give someone a gift that felt good along with the message. So that is available. I also do coaching. If you have someone that needs more like intensive intervention, I don't do long-term. It's not long-term commitments, but I'll do one-on-one when people are in critical scenarios. My background is social work and therapy, so I can do some of that work. And then just one minor thing I don't want to give too much attention to, but I feel like I'm like connecting to a bunch of new people, and you're all coming to find me on Facebook, which is exciting, and you're all coming to my house, and there's like an issue in my house right now. So without spending too much time on it, I've had someone harassing me for some time that has figured out a way to hack into my account and currently owns my Facebook account. So they could take me off, and they're posting really offensive stuff. I mean, somebody's attacking me right now. So I just wanted you to know that, because I don't want you to come to my page. Don't come to my page with your daughters right now, unfortunately, because they're posting violent, graphic, sexual images as me. So if you see that, please report it and just know that I'm on it. But I would just hate for one of you to be like, Erin Brown, and then go, what on earth is she doing? So that's just a thing that's happening right now, and a thing that's happening to women who are using big voices right now. So that's just something to know. Yeah, sure. No questions?
Middle schooler
Uh-huh.
would probably really use a lot of your information.
Mm-hmm.
Would the book be appropriate for someone who is 13?
Just repeat the question.
Yes. Would the book be appropriate for somebody who's 13? I'm actually working on a book for my daughter right now with room for mothers to add their own words in. So that's the next thing. But it is appropriate for them. I don't have any trauma stuff in the book because I think that's separate work, and specifically because I want it to be something that didn't necessarily go all the way there. So yes, it is absolutely appropriate. My primary work before this was working with violent teenage girls. So I really love teenage girls, and particularly preteen girls. I just want to get in there with them. So absolutely. I try to really make it about how it feels. So like when I was talking about, you looked so powerful, didn't you feel powerful? And then my food choices are always about how it's going to feel, and that's so much more motivating to me. I am just bored by the idea of fat loss, but if I'm thinking about, and this, okay, TMI, but I do that, like I want to have a really good poop, I know what is going to do that for me, right? And that's going to be eating a lot of vegetables. That's like the big celebration in the morning. It's like, I did it yesterday with my nutrition, and now I feel really fresh, you know? But let it be about something else, because there are other benefits to that, you know? And if you really focus on those benefits, that's going to keep them coming back. But it's a poop. I mean, you don't have to have that conversation. But it feels good. My goal when I used to do that kind of coaching was to think about, how do you want to feel after you eat? We think about this all the time with like alcohol. If you're choosing between a shot and a beer or not to drink, you're thinking about how you'll feel later. And we don't do that with food. So thinking about everything we put in our bodies that way, how do I want to feel? And I always would like to feel like I could go running after eating. I'm not necessarily going to, but I don't want to feel bloated. So just changing the conversation. You can still reach those goals, but there's so many more benefits that we could focus on.
Oh, wait. This
So I was going to do. So first of all, I'm from Vegas, so
Hi.
I live in Lawrence, I just moved back. But I have a question about how I should have these kind of conversations and change the language we're using with my mom. She's, ever since menopause, she's put on a lot of weight. She doesn't feel very good about herself. She's always saying things like, I'm fat, or I'm disgusting, or I guess I'm just doomed to be this way for the rest of my life. But at the same time, she doesn't want to change her eating habits, change her lifestyle. Like, how can I respond to her that's not, you know, oh, I feel that I feel pathetic, or like I feel like I'm either enabling her or I'm reinforcing her view that she's, you know, I don't know how to delicately handle that.
Moms are specifically tricky because it's not necessarily appropriate for you to parent your mother. You know, I mean, there's an issue of respect there. So with my mom, I try to just really focus on how I feel hearing her say that. And I couldn't go in the beginning and be like, you taught me this. That's way too big. That's all the guilt, you know? And so I will just say things like, it hurts me to hear you say that about yourself. That's really hard to hear. Your mom might not be able to hear that from you. I mean, you know, I'm not my mom's teacher necessarily. I've gotten in there a little bit. She follows my work, but I wouldn't be her best personal trainer if I was still training. You know, that might not be your place. So it's possible that maybe you go home and you talk to her about some of the things you learned here, or you just share with her how this work is helping you. But going directly at your mom might not be okay, and that's okay. But tell her how you feel when she says those things. You know, tell her that you love her and you wish she thought better things. But I mean, that's hard. We're not always our mother's teachers, not in that direct way, and that's okay too. I wish I had an easier answer.
We're going to move to Elsbeth
Okay.
now. If you have other questions for Erin, you can attack her later.
And can you see us since we're standing next to each other, or are we just like a big hole
We are,
here?
yeah, right? And the thing in the middle is pizza.
The thing in the middle is pizza.
We're
That's
friends.
what brings us
That
together.
was weird. Right?
They didn't.
Okay. Any questions?
Questions for Elsbeth?
I'm sorry.
So I'm wondering how you would determine the difference between a lack of mobility due to a flexibility issue versus a bone-on-bone, something truly structural. Like I'm thinking of the example you had of somebody overhead, arms overhead. I know two people who this is their structural bone-on-bone limitation of their upper movement unless they completely externally rotate their arm. You know, so is that just it, or how do you determine whether this is truly structural, or whether there's a flexibility issue?
Yeah, and that's a great question. And I mean, there's not one answer. For me, because I get a lot of clients that are referrals from their physical therapist or whatever, I get some help from them to help me decide that. But more bottom line, I just take it back. Can I fix it? Like, can I get it to the point where they can get there? So just doing the arm raise isn't going to work, but maybe I can work on their lats. Maybe if we foam roll their lats every day for a few months, we break the movement down, and then we go back to it. Does it get better without pain? Or no matter what we do, it still isn't going to work, or it isn't going to work without pain. Like, that's just to me about, like, I sort of have in my mind, I have sort of a 2 or 3 month term, like a period. If I can't get something to that sort of normal range in that period, then I have a sort of a feeling that I'm probably not going to get it there. So maybe it is structural. Or maybe it's just for whatever reason their body is really resisting that. I don't know, there's other ways to get them strong. There's not really any, for most people, overhead pressing is not that important, right? For some people it is. If they can do it, great. If they can't, So yeah, for me, it's a little bit of time. Like, just work at it, break it down, work at it, you know, pick it apart a bit. Often you can improve it a bit. That's great. But if you can't improve it in a few months, maybe you're not ever going to. And that's okay.
You talk about biofeedback, and at my gym we did this one thing called HRT training. So I didn't know if you knew anything about that, like heart rate variability.
HRV, yeah, absolutely. And I'm so happy that you asked that, because that's like the one thing I forgot to mention is that we found HRV and the range of motion testing to be really compatible. HRV, for those of you who aren't familiar with it yet, It basically gives you the red light or the green light, whether or not to train on a particular day. It's this very broad strokes thing. Like, yes, a green is like a go on that day. Yes, you're training. Whereas the biofeedback, the range of motion testing, it's a more specific test. We can get more, we can ask questions about what particular exercises to do on a particular day. So rather than just like a broad yes, it's a, should I do a front squat versus a back squat versus a rack squat versus a single leg squat versus a et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So it just gives you more information. And we've had clients and who have tested the tests against each other, like, okay, it's a green training day. And that tends to be like you get a better baseline range of motion on those green light days.
When you're getting closer to your powerlifting meets, do you ever abandon the biofeedback because you know you have to get specific lifts in?
That's a great question. I made that mistake one time when I got, she didn't, she hollered though. So do I ever abandon the biofeedback testing? And the answer is very, very, very rarely. I think it was for my second powerlifting meet, I started getting greedy with the gains. And so I had switched to sumo deadlift, and I was sumo deadlifting all the time, and I was like, so I stopped kind of testing other variations, and I paid for that with hip pain. So what I ended up doing was testing then on the meet day and switching back to conventional on meet day because I was starting to get hip flexors pain because I'd done too much of one thing, and too much of any one thing is a recipe for disaster in the body, I think. We need the variety, and the testing is a way to build that in because your body will tell you when you need variety. And I ignored it that one time.
Oh, what happened on that day?
Oh yeah, and then I tested conventional. Conventional tested better on meet day, and I ended up PRing. So it has a happy ending. Yeah.
Okay, so we'll move to Anne and Erin.
Hello.
Okay, so,
Okay, my question is sort of regarding like chronic injury. When you are, let's say, working with someone like you or with chiropractic, ART, sports guy, when you have not like breaks or tears necessarily, but let's say chronic injury, chronic tendonitis, what is your recommendation on how long you go with physical therapy before you go see an orthopedist? Let's say, especially if you're trying to avoid being told,
Right.
you know, you need
Well, that's a
surgery.
good question. And so it's kind of like saying, how long would you go to a dentist? You know what I mean? Like, so every physical therapist is going to be different. So if your physical therapist is putting a hot pack and electric stimulation on you and that's all they're doing, and it's been 6 months, you might be like, yep, don't think I should keep coming to see you. And, you know, I always wonder about that when people are like, I was going for 6 months and I never got better. And it's like, what the hell were you still going for, you know? So you have to kind of do a little bit of research about what's out there and who's the best person in your area to be treating you, because not all physical therapists are the same. Just like not all dentists or podiatrists are the same. You know, that said, it also depends on your goals. So like the person I was talking about, she was fine with her normal daily activities, but she wanted to play tennis. So for that person, things might be a little bit different. For me, if I'm not seeing any gains in like 5 to 6 visits, I start thinking maybe you need to see somebody else, or we need to get some other testing, or, you know, something like that. There should be some progress over 6 visits, in my mind, with most things.
Kind of following up on that, I guess, and I always feel so overwhelmed, like, trying to find the right person. Do you have any, because you can get recommendations from, you know, whether it's other trainers or other people who've had injuries and stuff, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's gonna be, you know, kind of the right
Somebody
thing.
good.
I mean, there's just so many people,
Right.
how can...
Well, what I can say is that the American Physical Therapy Association does have on their website, if you go to moveforward.com, there is Find a PT that at least gives you an idea of where to start. You can put in your zip code. It will at least give you some people that are local to you. I always go on Twitter, if you're on Twitter. And so if you're looking for somebody near you, just like tweet me and I'll help you find something. I just did that for 2 or 3 people here today. Like, I know people that are all over, and that's mostly through social media, so I can help hook you up with someone. But, there is no guarantee just because somebody liked them that it's going to work for you. And, if you're really into something specific, like let's say you're a runner, you want to find a physical therapist who's really into running and can do video gait analysis. And if you're into biking, you want someone who can do a custom bike fit. And, so you really have to kind of figure out what you're looking for and what the specialty is.
Any other questions for Ann?
So you covered a bunch of exercises we can do with kettlebells to help in recovery, specifically for the shoulder. Do you guys consider the kettlebell armbar one of those exercises you would use, or is that something you were able to?
I do. I'm going to let you take that. She's awesomer.
I would highly recommend the arm bar. There are other things that you want to do first. It's just like anything else. You would want to pattern that move before you load it, and you would want to make sure that if you are loading it, that you're spotting them. It is one exercise that can go wrong really quickly, even though it seems really simple. You want to make sure that when they're in that position that they are contracting their lat and they're keeping everything nice and stable. Otherwise, you could end up with a jacked up rotator cuff just from moving wrong or having too heavy a load. It is something that you're not going to do very heavy at all. You want a very, very light load or no load when they're first starting to make sure that they gain that stability.
All right, we'll move on to Jen Comas.
So I know I can't be the only one who is run into people who are like this, but there's always someone who you're working with or who says, I need your help, I want to lose weight for this cruise I've got coming up in 3 weeks, and I want to look really good. And someone told me that I could do this juicing diet until then, and I'll lose all this weight and I'll look really good. And you tell them all of the reasons why they shouldn't. And then they say, well, I don't care, at least I'll look good in the pictures, and I can worry about the healthy stuff later. How do you respond to that?
That's such a great question, and you're absolutely right. I'm sure we all know someone like that. I have certainly dealt with that myself, and I really learned a hard lesson a long time ago that it's unfortunate, but if you choose to pass along your advice, that comes with the caveat that they're probably not going to follow it. And I feel like I'm actually to a point to where I won't even say anything to them. It's hard because you care about them and you don't want them to do something that's going to be harmful to them down the road. But fact of the matter is that they're probably going to do whatever they want to do regardless of what you say. And I think there comes a time where you kind of just have to step back, maybe give them some type of resource, and then you just kind of have to step back and let them learn. And it truly, I feel for you because it is the hardest thing, especially like I said, when it's someone that you care about, because you know the repercussions of it. But and I've had experience where I've given them information and they have actually gotten irritated with me or frustrated with me, and then it gets me involved with their issues, and it's just, you kind of have to let them do their thing, maybe provide a resource and then wish them the best. And
Bon voyage.
yeah, it's hard.
Thank you.
Questions for Jen? I sometimes get to my couch and I'm like, I'm not leaving until someone asks a question. You're not leaving. I'm just kidding. Okay, see? Friends.
How do you address a conversation with a client when you suspect they might have an eating disorder? How do you bring that up sensitively and without driving them away?
That is a really, really good question. And I think Erin actually touched on this a little bit with her topic, that usually if someone wants you to fix them, there's something deeper going on. Molly had mentioned she's a huge advocate of therapy. I know I am. I think probably almost everyone staying up here likely is. So I think I like to really be open with people and my clients about the fact that I do go to therapy, and I think it's fine. And I actually think it's a wonderful thing that everyone should go to, regardless of if you feel great or not. It's a really great, healthy thing. So I try to be really open and upfront with my clients from the get-go that I do go to therapy, and that way when they approach me with something that might be an emotionally charged or a sensitive topic, you're not just like, hey, maybe you should think about going to therapy, because then they may think that, oh, something's wrong, but if you've already kind of had this conversation or worked it in the conversation ahead of time, especially if you start to initially get signs, if it's probably not appropriate to talk about therapy all the time, but if you initially start to feel like something is maybe going on that's going on deeper, start to kind of, work it into the conversation a little bit and see how they respond, and then you can kind of take it from there. Because that stuff you've got to, you can't handle that. It's got to be outsourced.
Can I add a sneaky trick?
Please do.
There are therapists that specialize in eating disorders, and that's the only people you want to see for that, because we all have this stuff, and it can get worse. What was eventually successful for my sister, sorry, I'm tired, is I was able to find a specialist who had a nutritionist on staff, I think primarily because they know that eating disorder clients will come because of that. And so I might approach that, find that, and those exist. I might approach that and say, I'm a little worried about you and the food, and that there might be kind of a psychological component, because this is a person with an addiction. And this one actually has a nutritionist, so I think you might be interested in that. That's a sneaky way you can get someone who is hurting themselves and to see a therapist that they really need.
Thank you. Oh, Elsbeth has a question.
I want to know how you get air without dumping.
How what?
How you get air without failing.
I love that we're having this conversation.
I don't know what dumping means. What is that?
Falling.
Okay.
Oh, no, I fall all the time, just so we're loud and clear. If anyone's seen my legs, and Molly. It happens. You gotta fail to succeed, right?
All right, so any questions for me? That's such intense.
Oh, wow. Look at that.
Okay, so here's my question. There's a lot of crap on the internet, on social media, that is all anti the things that we have just discussed. Otherwise, we would not be talking about them, right? There's a lot of junk out there. What suggestions outside of just continually talking about it on our own social media pages do you have to kind of market a healthier and more self-loving and balanced approach to it? Because nobody wants that. They want the quick, get rich quick kind of a thing, get thin fast sort of a thing. And so all those pictures look great, but that's not healthy. So any suggestions? That's for kind of everybody.
Yeah, I think the answers came from everybody here today, where just like what Jen said was, you can give your experiences. Doesn't have to be your advice, but just your experiences. And if they choose to take the information, that's wonderful, and go with it. And if they don't, you just wish them well, and just say, I can't be part of this, or I can't help you in any way more than that. I've had to say that to some people, and they don't like me anymore, but they'll probably come back later and say, you're right. I'm not saying that like that, but we all have to kind of sometimes go through our own learning lessons. I'm someone that probably has to learn the hard way, so you want to tell someone, what to do or what not to do or what not to look at, but sometimes learning and making your own mistakes is the only way we do learn. So at least maybe they can see there is another way out there. That's the beautiful thing about what's going on now, is there's more information than just one way. So that's a positive aspect.
Can I add to that?
Yes.
I think it's really important too that we promote what we love instead of bashing what we hate. I know that we've probably all seen that like meme and little poster out there, but the more we talk and give attention to all this fitness fluff, the more attention we give to it. So instead of talking about it and shining a spotlight on it, let's talk about the things that we know and we believe in and that we know work.
Also, this room is full of examples of people who are doing other things. Like, share those people's work, you know, share each other's work. I'm really excited about all the people I can be connected to in this room now who are new to me. This is happening, and we're the people to make it happen. I think it's exciting. We're doing the new thing, you know, and that will catch on. But you have to be bigger than that. You have to be brighter than that. And in my opinion, you have to stay away from those things that work to get the clients, because you're just going to get the ones that think you can fix them. You'll do that work as long as that's what you're willing to do, and it's so much more fun to do this other stuff.
Well, I agree.
Yeah.
I was just curious, like, if there were...
Just keep going.
I mean, in your own, I run it's called FLAG, Fat Loss Accountability Group, in my gym, but it's not just about fat loss accountability. We get into a lot of deep stuff, but I sort of like hook them in with that word, and then I'm like, guess what? I tricked you, you know? And we talk about all the deep stuff, and we do a lot of nutrition education, like long-term nutrition education and long-term nutrition habits. So you can hook them in like a little, and then like teach them the real stuff. What's that? Oh.
Say something really quick on that.
Oh, okay.
One other thing that you'll find, if they're really dead set on doing something, whatever this new flashy magic pill is, they're going to do it, no matter what you want to do with them. So I had a whole group of neighbors. Like, when you're in my neighborhood, I'm not going to push what I do. I'm just going to try to lead by you seeing what I do. So I had a whole group of neighbors. They all finally started coming. I just moved in the area, and they all wanted to start coming to the gym. They were all getting strong, they were getting excited, their bodies were changing, but they weren't necessarily losing the weight fast enough, but they were all getting strong, and they were loving it. Well, another person moved into the neighborhood that was promoting the drops. You can lose 30 pounds in a month. So they were all like, well, we're gonna do that. But sorry, Karen, we can't work out because we can only eat 500 calories a day while we do the drops. So they all lost weight really, really fast. And then when they started eating again, they gained it all back and then some. So now they're all bigger, but they found their way back to me. They realized that they were getting muscle and they were getting their bodies where they wanted it before they did the quick fix. So you can only lead by example, and when they truly need that, they'll find their way back to you.
Rachel's got a question. Oh, okay. Oh, we got two. Okay.
Mine's not really a question, it's just kind of going off that whole, how do you promote this? And just a couple of weeks ago, one of my clients, who'd been there for a long, long time, when my owner just opened the gym, looked at me and said, because the gym had been struggling for a long time, well, how did you save this? And I just looked at her and said, I loved my clients. And that's huge. You have to care, you have to love, and you have to be different.
Rachel, do you have a question?
More of a comment, just to kind of play off all of this. Just keep doing what you're doing. I was actually part of Cassandra's Black group,
Yeah,
6
she was.
years ago.
Yep.
And at the time, I didn't want to talk about feelings. I didn't want to hear about any of this. But she hooked me in, and now I own my own fitness facility. I'm actually halfway through my own Flag group that I'm running. And it's the exact same thing. And it's been hilarious. I've been sharing with these girls. The whole time there's a secret Facebook group within our little challenge group. And I'm listening to these presentations, and these are the things that I preach every single day. And the girls that started with me, it's a small group of 12, they didn't care about any of it. They didn't want to talk about feelings. They didn't want to talk to each other. And I picked them specifically. We did interviews to be a part of this group. And all day, the last 2 days, everybody's opening up and telling their stories. I haven't even told them about this yet. And I'm just like, yes, this is what it is. So sometimes they're not ready to hear it yet, and they're not ready to accept that, but they will be. So just give them time and keep doing what you're doing, and you don't know what's going to happen. I'm building a career out of it now that's completely different than what my life used to be because of it.
We're just going to end there.